Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into a new episode of Wiltfong Whiparound. I'm Grace Remington with our Director of Recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, there is still one blue chipper in the 2023 class who remains unsigned, and that is Duce Robinson, the five-star tight end out of Phoenix. He is expected to make his college decision on April 1st, but he's also got the whole baseball portion of his career, too. So what's the latest with him?
Yeah, April 1st, kind of the deadline. He told our colleague, 24/7 Sports national analyst Blair Angulo, the elite multi-sport standout that has a chance to hear his name called early in the Major League Baseball draft. Still trying to figure out his college decision, and the intel continues to favor USC. And with that, myself and 24/7 Sports national analyst Greg Biggins, we joined Blair over the weekend with the 24/7 Sports crystal ball forecast in favor of the Trojans. This was one where Georgia looked like the team to beat for much of the fall and even into the offseason, but USC has made a late charge here in the process. Lincoln Riley's track record on offense, track record developing guys like Mark Andrews, proximity to home, have all put the Trojans in good position for the 6'6", 225-pound Robinson, who also is still considering the Georgia Bulldogs. The Texas Longhorns has been an exciting option for him throughout the process, but USC looks to be well positioned right now for him. They just have to get it across the finish line, as those other programs certainly aren't going to go away.
Well, Georgia looking to add to the top class in the 2024 cycle after a big recruiting campus on weekend. The headliners of the weekend were wide receiver Ryan Wingo making his first visit, and then top prospect Dylan Raiola making a return visit. So what are you hearing out of Athens?
I think that there's a lot of crystal balls that may be wrong right now, Grace, coming out of a spectacular weekend at Georgia where all these prospects got to watch Georgia practice. And it looks like Georgia, when you talk to these recruits and their parents and coaches that were on campus over the weekend, they created a scene where Georgia looked like they were fighting for their first ever title under Kirby Smart and company, just the energy in practice. And then not only that, not only how hard the players were going and the coaches were coaching, but they also pointed to just how good of teachers those Georgia coaches were, the way that they connect with their players on the field in a teaching way was something that stood out to several recruits on campus. Ryan Wingo, my crystal ball is on Tennessee right now, but I think Georgia's well positioned for him coming out of this visit. I expect him to come back for an official visit down the road. Really enjoyed their time with Coach McClendon and company. They spent 2 nights in Athens, so they got a chance to really get to know the coaching staff, get to know the players, get a feel for the program. I think Georgia is trending for Ryan Wingo. Dylan Raiola, he's been to Georgia. This is now his 6th time on campus. His dad says it never fails to deliver. They got to take in meetings. They took in the first padded practice of the spring. They said everything about that place is elite. Coach Smart is the best in the business. It's an ultra competitive environment that excites Dylan. And look, Georgia was the first program to offer Dylan. They got him to campus a ton early in this process. There was a time where Ohio State obviously overtook Georgia, became the program to beat. He gave the Buckeyes a verbal, in fact. But when he reopened this process, Georgia again was the program that I marked as the one to watch for him. But then 2 visits to USC, regular conversation with Lincoln Riley, put some momentum in USC's favor. But I think coming out of this visit to Georgia, the momentum is back with the Bulldogs for Dylan Raiola, who still has future visits. He's going to be at Nebraska this weekend for a big junior day visit. He's going to go back there for the spring game. He's going to be at Oregon spring game. He's going to get to USC again because he trains in the Los Angeles area. So we'll see if Nebraska, USC, or Oregon can change the pulse of this recruitment. But I like where Georgia stands right now and what's kind of becoming a bit of a back and forth with the Trojans here, with Nebraska and Oregon still very much in play, trying to make their move as well.
All right. I love this, the cross-country recruiting battle that's coming to be between Georgia and USC.
Grace, let's talk about a couple more guys that were at Georgia's campus real quick over the weekend that I know had a great time. Williams Nwaneri, 5-star defensive lineman from Lee Summit North. He was there with his teammate, 2025 top 247 receiver Isaiah Mosey, and Coach Mosey, Isaiah's dad, just talked about being able to compete at a high level every day and playing for one of the best in the country, and said, look, the way you watch them practice and move around, seeing what it's like to be a Georgia Bulldog, it's obvious why they win a lot of games. So they had a great time, amazing facilities, great coaches, really good support staff there. That's another thing that stands out to Georgia about these guys who visit. But looks like Georgia's put themselves in the mix for Williams Nwaneri, who's very high on Oregon, very high on Oklahoma. LSU, he was there last weekend. He's going to be at Nebraska this coming weekend. So is Mosey, I'm told. So but Georgia in the thick of that one. Miles Graham's a top 247 linebacker that's committed to Florida, that really enjoyed his visit. That was his first time watching practice there. Talked about the physicality, talked about the coaches getting after him, said it was fun to watch. Said Georgia's definitely in his top schools. He plans to take an official visit. Top 247 safety Xavier Filsaime from McKinney, Texas, had a good experience. Him and his dad both really enjoyed it. Georgia trying to get into the thick of that one alongside the likes of Florida, LSU, Texas A&M, Oregon, some of those contenders. Caleb Oden's an in-state tight end, 4-star from Carrollton, who was offered. You got to figure Georgia's really going to be a contender there. Same goes for Cameron Fountain, who's a top 247 edge rusher. That he talked about Georgia's academic program, and that was what really stood out to his mom. But Amari Jefferson enjoyed it. And Georgia certainly left a lasting impression on every single one of these prospects that was there this weekend. Jaden Riddell, a tight end from Kansas City area, also really enjoyed it. So Georgia, they already have the #1 recruiting class in the country. We've talked before about them having maybe the #1 recruiting class of all time. I think this weekend really can help continue that charge for that moniker.
All right, well, let's stay in the SEC. Auburn's class currently sitting at 23rd with just 3 commitments, but they're making a push for the #2 prospect in the country, athlete KJ Bolden. How is he feeling about the Plains, and who else are the Tigers pushing for?
Well, he said as soon as he got out of the car, he felt at home at Auburn. And again, this new Auburn coaching staff is really doing a terrific job of connecting with recruits and making them extremely comfortable with the Tigers. And I think in this new era under Hugh Freeze and company, we're going to see Auburn win some big time SEC recruiting battles that we were not accustomed to seeing under the previous regime. KJ Bolden said his visit to Auburn was amazing. Highlights of the trip was spending quality time with Coach Freeze and Coach Zach Etheridge. He enjoyed his time with some of the players and the love that they showed him. And he said he's already thinking about his next visit. Loves everything about Coach Freeze and the new staff. They have a special group going on, and he loves it. And so he added that Auburn's one of the top schools that he's visited and that he enjoyed learning about the academic side of things too. Obviously acknowledged Auburn's in the rebuilding process, but it's something he can see himself being part of, and that he also likes just how they're a traditional powerhouse with a lot of history there. So Auburn, they're trying to make a move on the likes of Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. Those are 3 programs that have been routinely and regularly mentioned in KJ Bolden's recruitment. He's coming off a really good visit to Arkansas the weekend before, so the Razorbacks trying to make a move there. He's got Florida State next week, and that's kind of was his dream school growing up. Got Alabama on April 5th. The Crimson Tide is a program he's talked highly of for much of his process. USC is going to get a visit on April 15th. And then Oregon's a program that we've seen make moves with visits with elite prospects. He's going to be at Oregon for 3 days, April 28th through the 30th. So, but Auburn, I think, is a program that we need to start mentioning when you're asked who are the top contenders for KJ Bolden. You got Georgia, you got Ohio State, you got Clemson. I think you got to start saying Auburn now as well.
All right, impressive. All right, Jadyn Davis returned to Ann Arbor for the 5th time during his recruitment over this weekend. Finally got to connect with new quarterbacks coach Kurt Campbell. So what are you hearing about Michigan's past weekend?
Well, coming off 2 straight college football playoff appearances, Michigan's sitting at #5 right now in the 24/7 Sports Composite team recruiting rankings, and I think that we're about to see some movement from the Wolverines here over the next week or two with some of the recruits they had on campus. I love where they stand with Jadyn Davis. I think they're clearly the team to beat. This was an opportunity for him to get up to Ann Arbor, spend some time with new quarterbacks coach Kurt Campbell, get a chance to watch the team practice, get a chance to watch the team scrimmage the next day. But the main reason to get up there was to get around Coach Campbell. And talking to Jadyn's dad, Jeremiah, he said he made a big impression. Very relationship type guy, knows what he's doing. We have faith in him. He's going to make the quarterbacks better than they are. Got some time with Coach Harbaugh, of course. This was his 5th visit on campus. I think Michigan is very much the team to beat for Jadyn Davis as they try and close in on the 5-star passer from North Carolina. A couple other guys that Michigan's in really good shape for, in my opinion. You got Ben Roebuck, an offensive lineman from the state of Ohio, who I've already crystal balled to Michigan. Still love that pick. And then Blake Frazier's a 24/7 Sports composite 4-star offensive lineman, legacy recruit from the state of Texas, who's been to Michigan several times, had another terrific visit. I logged the 24/7 Sports crystal ball for the Maize and Blue for him coming out of this visit. He's got some trips coming up. He was just at Oregon, going to Texas this weekend, but I think Michigan has set the bar there. And then you and I talked about this on Friday, Grace, but I just kind of want to double down on it a little bit. Jordan Marshall, the top 247 running back from the state of Ohio, rushed for nearly 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns as a junior. Also dynamic pass catcher, one of the best every down backs in this class, was back at Michigan this weekend. And I know this is a slobber knocker on the trail with Ohio State. Wisconsin and Luke Fickell have a great relationship with him. And then Tennessee's really high on. But I just like where Michigan stands for Jordan Marshall as he continues his spring visits going into his official visits, between the relationship with Mike Hart, Michigan's success on the field. They're finally showing up to recruiting battles with Ohio State with a loaded weapon and not a knife to a gunfight here, because Ohio State's dominance on the field for so long over Michigan made it tough for Michigan to beat Ohio State on the trail, particularly in the state of Ohio. But now Michigan's won the last 2. They boast one of the best rushing offenses in the country. Their offensive line's won the Joe Moore Award the last 2 years. And Michigan still boasts those fantastic academics and tradition-rich program. I think that they have positioned themselves really well for Jordan Marshall here right now as he continues his process.
All right, well, to the rest of the world, Friday was St. Patty's Day, but to Notre Dame, it was Pot of Gold Day. Marcus Freeman and staff handing out offers to members of the 2025 recruiting class, including the top player in that cycle, offensive tackle David Sanders. So how successful was this recruiting pitch for the Irish?
Well, Grace, this is always one of the fun days in recruiting. Like each school has kind of their tradition things that they do on the trail annually. I mean, hell, Miami, Ohio, theirs is offering everybody on Christmas Day, but you got Champ U Barbecue at Oklahoma. You got all kinds of things like that. But Oklahoma or Notre Dame, St. Patrick's Day, Pot of Gold Day, that's always a fun day on the trail where Notre Dame extends scholarship offers to coveted guys in the 2025 recruiting class. And if it's young men that already had an offer from Notre Dame, they get them on the phone and talk to them as well. And you got Marcus Freeman and his staff wearing leprechaun hats, and there's a lot of green floating around that office, and just a lot of excitement in the South Bend area for St. Patrick's Day. There's not a city in the country. South Bend stacks up with any city in the country on St. Patrick's Day, Grace, and Notre Dame coaches taking part in those festivities by reaching out to their top 2025 prospects. Jerome Bettis Jr., the son of Notre Dame legend, NFL Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis, a receiver from Atlanta Woodward Academy. He was one of the players that got an offer from Chansey, Stuckey, Freeman and company. And Notre Dame has set the bar early in his recruitment. He's obviously been there several times, including as a recruit. But he's been around the program since he was little. It's been a dream of his to have an opportunity to play for them. Now that he has, he calls it surreal. He's going to go through his process, but certainly calling Notre Dame an amazing program. They're going to be a team to watch for the 6'3", 190-pound Bettis. They offered the #1 player in the country, David Sanders, and we've had him on the recruiting show. You guys know this is an extremely well-rounded young man that does multiple sports, He's an A student. He is the epitome of what a Notre Dame looks for on the recruiting trail. And he says he can't wait to visit Notre Dame. You know, he said the offer meant a lot just because it's a prestigious university. Not only do they have an amazing football team, but their academic success is just as high. Getting an offer from Notre Dame means you're the total package. And he said he was truly grateful. He also talked about Notre Dame's track record of developing offensive linemen. They have some of the best at the position in the NFL right now. And he talked about how those guys have long NFL careers. Said it was a huge accomplishment, and again, can't wait to go visit. Notre Dame also went in heavy on some quarterbacks in 2025. Gino Guidugli and that staff there, Gerard Parker, Cutter Boley from Lexington Christian Academy, and George McIntyre from Brentwood Academy in Tennessee, and then Deuce Knight from Lucedale, George County in Mississippi. All picked up offers from Notre Dame. Cutter Boley's going to visit this weekend. George McIntyre is getting a visit lined up for Notre Dame as well. And then Deuce Knight was blown away by the offer. So Notre Dame, as Marcus Freeman and company, have completely flipped that quarterback room from the one that they inherited. Now you have Sam Hartman and you have Tyler Buckner. So you have quality depth in there. I know they're excited about Stephen Gilly as well. But then they landed Kenny Minchie in the 2023 class. That CJ Carr committed in 2024. Now they're in the mix for some of the best arms in 2025. I just love the way that Notre Dame is recruiting the quarterback position under Coach Freeman and company. And we'll see what happens with some of these guys. But a lot of offers went out. You'll have to get over to Irish 247 to read more about Pot of Gold Day, but that's just some of the biggest highlights.
You know, I appreciate the mention of Miami, Ohio. Not often we get to hear about the Red Hawks on these shows, but shout out to the alma mater. All right, it is time for Stump Steve, where we name a recruit from the past 10 cycles or so and see if Steve can remember where they originally signed. So, Steve, giving you a heads up here, these ones are actually difficult. We might finally break your winning streak here. Four-star defensive lineman Andrew Trumbetti.
Yeah, he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that one was actually kind of easy. 4-year starter there out of New Jersey. Yeah. All right. Class of 2016, 3-star quarterback Thomas McViddle from Cincinnati.
Thomas McViddle was my guy.
Oh,
just trying to – so he signed with Pitt.
Yep.
Then he bounced around. Ended up at Kansas.
Yep.
And he was a guy that he started just his last year in high school, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
Bounced around a couple places and probably making a lot of money in the business profession now, if I had to make a guess.
Yeah, he went the JUCO route in between Pitt and Kansas, but going to a school like Moeller in Cincinnati, that's impressive. You only start 1 year there, but I know that's got to be competitive to get that job. All right, and our last one, class of 2013, 4-star cornerback Priest Willis out of Arizona.
Oh, man, I know where Priest went. Oh, Priest Willis. I know where you went, buddy. Did he? Where did he go? Where did he go?
Let's see it. We got the answer?
Oh, come on.
Well, yeah, I'll give you a hint. It's somewhere on the West Coast.
Yeah. Did he go to Arizona State? No. Did he go to A&M? No, he went to UCLA. Did he transfer to A&M?
Yes, he did. Okay, so good job. You got like half a point. See, I love those. I love the transfer ones because they make you second guess.
I was still wrong on my very first impression. But...
All right, 2-1. That's pretty good. So your winning streak is still intact. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today, everybody. Our mailbag questions are back on Friday, so be sure to send those in to the Twitter account at 247sports, or you can comment them here on this video. And while you're at it, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Again, we'll see you Friday. Have a great week.